Hello, and welcome to something a bit new. Welcome to the first of Longman Tarot, Longman Bardic Journey Chat. Not Longman Tarot anymore. Something a bit new. Something about my time that I've spent studying the Bardic way. But do you think that intro was a bit dull? I do. I think it's time for a rebrand, don't you? Hit it. There we go. A new introduction. I love it. Thank you so much, Peter, my clever husband, who put that together at what was very short notice today. So I hope you enjoy that one too. As you notice, it's a slightly different brand. Today I'm talking about Druidry. Today I'm talking about my Bardic studies that I've started and everything that's going along with that one there. So I decided to move it slightly away from Longman Tarot. It's obviously the same channel, but just so people could differentiate between which ones are which. So welcome to Longman. I keep calling it Longman Tarot, Longman Bardic Journey Chat. Let's just call it the Bardic Chat, shall we? Thank you for everyone coming along here. I've still got 13 people. You're very, very welcome. So we're going to have a chat and talking about where this has all come from, bits and pieces like that. But let's say hello to a few of you who are in the conversation. So Sarah, you were looking forward to this. It's lovely to see you here, Sarah. I hope you are very well, my dear. Loving the profile picture. It looks fantastic. Hello, Sandra, my lovely. Sandra says hello to everyone. Barbara Ruth is here. Hello to you. And Barbara saying hello to everyone. Again, looking forward to this so much. Thank you for being part of this. Beth is here. Hello, says Beth to everyone there. Lynn is here, and Lynn is excited too. Thank you, all these people that are absolutely excited. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. It's always a little bit when you go off at a bit of a limb thinking, oh, are people going to be watching? Are people going to be interested? Well, the proof of the pudding's in the eating, isn't it? So do let me know feedback-wise. I'm just going to move that incense. It's blowing right in my face. Beth says, I watched your walk through your new deck. Can't remember the name. So happy you like it. It's got Sandra vibes all over it. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Happy birthday to Pamela Coleman Smith too. Absolutely. Thank you for reminding us about that, Beth. Yeah. Wow. Don't know how many years. I'm sure somebody will pop into chat. If you want to ask any questions today, anything at all, please feel free to ask anything you want as we go along, because this is something that's just changing, reforming, thinking about things. So, and it's quite strange to be talking straight to the camera and not talking with somebody or something like that. So yeah, but let me know. Feedback would be lovely. Ho, Ange. Ho, good to see you here. I hope you are very well, my dear. And everyone's saying hello to everyone there. I hope I haven't missed anyone out. Oh, good timing. That went, just got out of the shower and put the TV on. Hello, I'm waving to you on TV now. Love it. Oh, thank you. Fab intro. Thank you. Something a bit calmer. So people know what they're signing up for. Oh my goodness. Love it. Quick. Let me get my loot. Perhaps we should all be strumming away, wouldn't it? Like that. Well, Peter's got massive plans for this introduction. Apparently it's going to go seasonal, so depending on what season it's going to be, the leaves will be doing all sorts of things. So I was like, just keep it simple, it's fine. So there we go. Hello, Robin. It's lovely to see you here. I hope you're very well. Good to see you here. Nice rebranding. Thank you. Looking into doing the same. Well, Longman Tarot hasn't gone. It's still going to be my major channel. But this, well, I'll talk about it in a minute. But yeah, this is something slightly different. And look, here's another Bardic Path wandering person. Hello, my Jamie. I was just thinking about you, literally just before I went on. Thinking, I hope you don't mind the fact I put Bardic into the name of this one. But You know, I know you. Hopefully you don't hate me for that. Hershey, hello, my dear. Good to see you here. Sending blessings, positive healing vibes to everyone. Great to see you here. Anyone else that's watching, not commenting, you're very welcome here. Jules is here. Hello, Jules. Good to see you here. Lovely profile picture too. Bardic, is this all about poetry? Hang around, Robin, and find out. That's what I'm going to say. And Deanne, is it? Oh my, almost ADHD'd away, but here I am. ADHD'd away. Wow, it's good to see you here. So there we go. Vanessa, hello to you. I'm happy to have made it. Good to see you here. Thank you again for everybody supporting me this. I was thinking, what's this going to be like? Might I just be, it's a bit like the first time I do a live. Go, are people going to hang around for this one? I don't know, but people are here, so that's really kind of you. There we go. Sandra Druidry, Robin Richards, currently studying the Bardic grade, and it's going to be talking about that. We will be talking at some points about Oracle stuff, but it's not so much about tarot and stuff. But do hang around because I'm sure you're going to get some bits out of it. I do hope so. Trisha is here. Hello, Trisha. Good to see you here. So many lovely people. Thank you for coming by. Yeah, Google refers as Bardic poetry were all the Druids poets. Well, we'll talk about that bit in a second. So hang on to that thought. I'm going to star that one, Robin. We can come back to that one. Beth says, love the inspiration you have, Richie. And it's happened on Pixie's Day. It's really cool. I didn't plan it. I didn't happen to know it was today. It was Pamela's birthday. So, yeah, it's all aligning, isn't it? Hi, Sandra. So Vanessa, I watched ASMR and I got to the judgment card. I'm going to continue after the live. Lovely. Fantastic. I think that's everyone. Oh, it's Jamie. I don't own Bardic, and this is your beautiful journey down. I'm here for it. Beautiful. Thank you so much. We're all following a Bardic path, aren't we? So there we go. Sorry, getting used to the iPad. Apologies for it. And don't worry about it. We love it. Love it. Don't worry. And Hershey, thank you so much for hitting the thumbs up on your way in today. Everyone, hit your thumbs up. That'd be lovely. Thank you. And lots of lovely people who I haven't met before, and some people who I've known for a long time. So, oh, and Plucky is here as well. Glad to be here. Just before I go into what this is all about. So, as some of you are aware, back in January in the new year, I said that I was going to be changing the channel slightly. I wanted to create more time for this Bardic study, this Druid study that I had, well, I've been planning to do for some time, to be honest with you. And I was finding that I wasn't getting the time to do stuff. YouTube, if you're a YouTube creator, you'll know it does sometimes take a bit of time. You've got editing. That's why I tend to do lives more than anything else, because lives, you just record them, you keep the mistakes in and the mess ups and everything, and you just live with it and go with it. Whereas if you're making videos and walkthroughs, which I do sometimes, you've got a lot of editing to do, and it can, just the planning of a live, just the organization of it, the actual doing it and everything else after can take some time out of the week. And I was very conscious of the fact that I wanted to do this studying. I'm going to talk about why that was the case in a minute. But I wasn't having the time to do it. And so what I thought I would do is, rather than every Friday try and provide some content for Longhand Tarot, I would make time to perhaps catch up talking about the studying, or perhaps not do a live at all, and perhaps do the reading, the study part of it all, because I'm very well aware of this isn't a rush, this isn't a race to become Bardic grade. But at the same time, I want to keep the energy of it going and not just peter out. And particularly on a Friday, end of the week, everyone's exhausted. Anything that I try and read and go, it goes in the one ear and out the other. So I just thought, well, let's create my space in the channel to do these once in a while. I'm not going to do them on every week, or it's going to be when I feel I want to say something, or when I feel like I've progressed on my journey, that I want to share it with you, talk about it, do bits and pieces that way. So it's not going to be every month. It's going to be as and when required. But I thought today would be a really good first attempt at doing one. So there we go. Hello to anyone that's joined in. Oh, lovely to see you here. I'm always grateful when Sarge does a video. like stopping infancy. Absolutely. So so it's our first chat. So I thought, I suppose, just sort of talk about how this all started, and why I decided to study to be my Bardic grade level. So just people that aren't too sure, Druidry is obviously well across the world. Lots and lots of people follow lots of different paths. You can do all sorts of things, but there's basically 3 levels. Some orders have different levels within levels, but Bardic is the first, Ovate is the second, and then Druid is the third one. So you have to go through the ranks if you're going to get to Druid. And a lot of people don't do that. Some people just stop at Bard or something. So as Robin kind of hinted to, in fact, let's put his question or statement up there. The Bardic part is about, it's not necessarily poetry. We often think of bards in the kind of medieval Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing, of, you know, people singing on a harp or doing or telling fantastic stories that go on for hours. It's about inspiration. It's about creativity. I read something yesterday that was really struck me as important. It's a wordsmith. It's somebody who can write stories, can tell stories, can do poetry, can perhaps do some creative stuff to do with artwork, or perhaps plays or creative writing in that way. And I know a lot of people, particularly people in chat today, are very good, very keen writers and do follow, you know, been writing and trying to get stuff published. So we've all got that part of us in us somewhere. But I just felt that it was part of my next step forward. So just to put it into some context, I was 2 years ago, I had a bit of a bad time health-wise, and there was a period of time that was quite tricky, quite worrying. Fortunately, everything was okay. And during that time, the only thing that I could find real solace in while I was going through tests and waiting for results was to get out in nature, to get out, especially spend times in forests and woods, and just spend time with trees, nature, birds, animals, grounding myself, working with all of that. And that was the one thing that really consoled me. And I thought, I have to do something. Once I get better, I have to do something about this. I have to make the journey continue. And so I started to look at different courses and different ways into studying to become, do this Druidry course. And finding out about it from scratch. And it's a bit like, I have to say, a lot of it comes from you wonderful people in YouTube, tarot tube world, I suppose. I met so many and know so many wonderful people who know all sorts of things about all sorts of things to do with pagan, Wiccan, magic, tarot, you know, name it all. It's a huge, wonderful mansion that we visit on a regular basis. And I just decided that I wanted to explore a different annex of this mansion, to put it in that way. And I decided I was going to spend some time learning more about the religion of Druidry, if you want to call it. I want to call it more of a spiritual path. And so that's what I decided to do after lots of thinking and going, do I, don't I? I don't know. Do I just stick with what I know? I decided that I was going to set foot over the threshold, and this is what it was about. So that, in a nutshell, is basically what I've been doing. I decided I was going to do an online course. Now, I'm not going to mention the people that run the course. I have mentioned them in the past. It's an order that is run in the UK. It's worldwide. It's done online. I'm being very careful because I don't want to talk about any of their resources or any of their materials. I appreciate I'm not supposed to be doing that. And so I'm going to be talking more about my reflections about the work that I've been doing, rather than being specific about certain courses or certain activities or certain resources that are going on. But if you are interested in any of this at all and you fancy dipping your toe in, do have a look at different ways of Bardic grades. There's lots of different groups, orders who offer free materials to see whether you like it or not. So they might might have the first few lessons that they'll send you free. You can do it online. You can do it as books. You could just go and buy some books online and study for it. You know, there's more than one way of doing this way. So, but that's what I decided to do. I was going to invest in paying a monthly subscription for this for a year, and I get sent the lessons, the reading. It gets unlocked basically each month. And I basically work my way through the lessons there, and it keeps track of where I am. It reads it for me, which is fantastic. So it's a bit like having it's on a Kindle where I can either read it or listen to it. And it's just fantastic because I can then go back and find out stuff. There's some beautiful music on it, lots of lovely poetry being read. And it's a nice all-round experience rather than just me reading from a book or something like that. On top of that, I am reading other books. This is one that I am reading at the moment, the Bardic Handbook. Again, some great ideas. I believe that this is something that is all-encompassing, and I want to get different points of view, different ideas, tying it all together. And so what I thought I would do is start this course back in the summer. But unfortunately, again, medical reasons meant that I didn't quite get as started as I wanted to. And so I kind of played about with the first few lessons and didn't really focus on it. And so I thought, right, let's just stop, get myself right, get myself in the right headspace, get myself organized, and then start again in the new year, which is what's happened. So this has been kind of bubbling away for about 5 or 6 months, and I'm now in a really wonderful space to be starting this again, revisiting the bits I've already done and making much more out of it than I did first time. Perfect time in bulk, starting new things, spring, you know, everything like that. So it just feels that everything's fitting together really, really well. So that's where we are at the moment. So I'm just going to have a sip of tea and I'm going to catch up with chat. I've lost, wow, so many people. Okay, I'm going to try and find where I got to. If I double myself up, Here we go, Robin. In Celtic cultures, a bard is a professional storyteller, verse maker, music composer, oral historian, and genealogist. Absolutely, you've nailed it there. Plus everything else that goes in with it there. Yeah, and I think as well in the modern day, it's a musician. Yeah, it's a music composer. It's a lot more to do with music as well. I'm not musically minded at the very least. I cannot sing a note. I prefer to do poetry or sort of written or perhaps arty kind of stuff, perhaps a bit more performance based. There we go. Employed by a patron to commemorate one or more of the patron's ancestors and to praise the patron's own activities. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, there it is. And that's how it, and a lot of people's perception of it is a bit, you know, if you say to someone, oh, I'm doing my first part of, well, firstly, you sound a bit druid and people look at you a bit, you know, strangely sometimes. And then you go, well, it's going to be Bardic to start off with first. I have to do that bit first. And I go, oh, you know, and I think you're going to get your loot out and start, you know, jumping about like a minstrel. No, it's not that at all. And then, of course, the next stage is Ovate, which is more to do with the clairvoyancy, the spiritual side of it all. More akin, I suppose, more attached to cartomancy and things like that one. So, Anne says, I want to start my Bardic again. I dropped off at the end of last year as my health has not been good. I wish you all the very best for that. But I think you've actually touched a really good point there, Ange, and that is to do this properly for yourself, you have to be in the right space. And that's what my first part was. It was a real false start. And if I'm brutally honest, if I hadn't been paying out the subscription each month, I would have probably have stopped and gone, no, and picked it up again at another point. But the way that I have it on the different lessons which are online, as I say, I can just jump back into the start or think that was really good. Plus there's a lot of, because it's spoken, there's a few meditative bits, and it's really wonderful. For me, you know, in the modern day, it's not about necessarily reading stuff, it's about having stuff read to you or highlighting bits or going back and making notes. And I find that useful. flipping back and going back and thinking about layers to stuff. Yeah. And Sandra said, yeah, dropped off to want to pick it up. And I've spoken to Sandra, I know, a few times about this, and she's very excited, very keen, very supportive. So, yeah. Beth says, I always think storyteller first and foremost, which is why I associate Bob Dylan with being a modern bard. Absolutely. Maruta is here. Hi, gang. Good to see you here. And says, I think storyteller, musician, poet, artist. I think the artist is the really important bit. That's the bit I actually play to, because I think people understand the term artist, and you can be a music artist, or you can be a performance artist, or you can be a word artist or something like that. People are very used to having the word artist in their everyday conversations, whereas if you say poet, that puts together ideas that are not perhaps the areas we want to be necessarily helpful. And yeah, Sandra says, I think storyteller too. Yeah, really interesting, isn't it? Sarah says, I was about to say bards are so catch-all. They're historian, teacher, writer, poet, musician, all in one. Absolutely. Perhaps strike the musician one off for me on that one there, but I'll try and do the best of the rest of them. So, and of course, it's so wonderful to get out in nature, and that is what has inspired me more than anything, is to go out, regardless of what the temperature is, regardless of what the weather is, and just go out and experience the wheel of the year. And the more that I've read about not just necessarily the bardic side of it all, but the wheel of the year, how important it is, how fascinating it is. And I'm such a firm believer that if we follow the wheel of the year, not necessarily to the letter, but to the best of your ability, it will seriously sort out some of the medical issues that people may have. And I know it's a big thing to say, and I don't want to sound like I'm speaking above my station here, but for me personally, when it came to mental health, it wasn't until I discovered the wheel of the year and working with the cycles of nature, I was a mess. I have to, until I discovered that one. So again, perfect. They're all creative keepers of knowledge. God, that's a difficult statement to say. They are all, I was going to say creative keepers of knowledge. Brilliant. Hello, Care Bear. Good to see you here. I'll have to go back and watch later what I missed. Absolutely. Lovely to see you here. And Tricia says, I love hearing people's journeys. Well, I'm just starting out, which is why I thought it's interesting to put this out now. Not as a diary form, not as a journal. I'm going to do my journaling. I'm going to keep that private. But it's interesting to talk it through and to see what I've come up against, but what I'm working with and what's interesting me at the moment. And some very surprising things I'm going to say as well. So thank you for all the warm greetings, fellow chatters. You're very welcome here. I hope I haven't missed anyone out. James said, I have all my Guerces gathered and I'm going to get them bound. Oh, wonderful. That was one of the biggest decisions. What do I do? Do I actually get them in paper format, or do I get them online? And I decided, for me, if I've got half an hour, perhaps after the end of work, or I've got some free time, or I'm on a train journey, for me, I can just sit and read and do some writing and working around that. That is a bit more easier for me. But having said that, I haven't been on a train journey. I've sat at home, but again, I could take it, download it, and take it outside, take it out when I'm walking. And I just find that that's, when it comes to being to learning and to understanding stuff, I've moved away from being a reader to more of a listener now, an oral learner, I think they call it. And says, Richie, it's quite an old book. It's Kevin Manwaring, and I think it's been republished several times. I got this on eBay from one of the secondhand bookshops. It's really good condition, by Gothic Image Publications. Yeah, it's quite an old book, because he was talking about 1994, so this book's a few years old now, but really good, really relevant. And putting this together with the other stuff that I'm getting online, it's it's really solidifying stuff. So I do recommend it. Care Bear says there's so much I want to study and never enough time or capacity. Exactly, that was the problem I was having. I was so wanting to do this, and I was getting resentful for other things coming in my life because I wasn't getting it done. So I have decided that I'm going to devote an hour or two per week to study the Gurse, to study the lessons, to work with them. And then an hour to respond to them. So I'm going to probably do at the weekend, the reading, the listening part of it all. That gives me time then to do the thinking part of it, and then the journaling, then the working with. But at the same time, I don't want to be like, right, this has to take 1 week. It takes as long as it takes. I want to enjoy it. It's not a race. Blackie says, I think the only way I could carry a tune is if it's in a bucket. The same. I'm the same. Thank God for whistling, because I can whistle in tune, and that's about it, I think. And I can play a kazoo, and that's about it. And says, my health has stopped my studies too. I'm still not sorted, but need to try and focus on it. I suffer from extreme fatigue due to problems in my blood, so concentrating isn't easy. I'm wishing you all the best, but the part of it is when you know that you want to get back up and practice, that's the drive, isn't it? So wishing you all the very best there. Artists and Oracles, hello to you. Good to see you here. And says, I'm glad you started this, Richie. It'll give me the boost to crack on with it. It's interesting how many people I've come across that have not fallen off the wagon, that makes it sound like, but just stopped or paused, but paused for perhaps a considerable amount of time. And I think it's one of those things, the longer you perhaps leave it, the harder it must be to sometimes think, I need to go back and do it again. But the fact is, if you've still got your books, if you've still got your verses, and you've still got that longing to do it, then you still have that burning ambition, you still have that drive to do it, and it still will happen there. Hello, Simon. Good to see you here. Hope you are very well. We're doing Druidry at the moment. I have got an Oracle deck I might talk about if we've got time. But I hope you're well. Deanne, I was in a pretty terrible time at the same time as you, Richie, and getting outside for walks really saved me. Isn't it amazing as that we think about technology and money and material things, and when something like that comes along, it just shakes your foundations completely. It's a real tower moment, not to make it, too fine a point about it. And you literally clutch onto the nearest things that can support you through the day. It's amazing just going for a walk, what that can do, and you tend to put a lot of your energies into things that you wouldn't perhaps normally do, and you see what the desired effect is. So yeah, so I'm glad, hopefully you're all better. Science of walking nature is so lovely, Deanne. Yes, yeah. And what's surprising is that even I live in a town, and I'm very lucky. I've got a beautiful seaside near me, beautiful downland, which I'm going to be sharing in a moment later on with you. Lots of wood, lots of lovely walks. So yeah, but I still live in a town. I don't have a garden, and I'm always a little bit jealous about people that have wonderful gardens and going to go out and do gardening. But I still manage it. I've got a little balcony. A Juliet balcony, so I can't get on it, I can't walk on it or stand on it, but it's got an awful lot of plants on there, and that helps. Absolutely, that helps. And Deanne says it is time to just make sure everything will be okay sometime. I'm just going to move that incense, it's blown right into my throat, so I'm going to move that out of the way. Everyone's saying hello to Simon, good to see you here, and starting to get into the time of year when I start reconnecting with nature. Only a few more weeks to go. Come on, spring. Yes. I've said this many times before. I did suffer quite badly most of my life with SAD. And it was working with the Wheel of the Year that really sorted me out. And I used to hate the autumn, and I particularly hated the winter. This year I have, because I was ill and kind of bypassed the whole of summer, and the hot part, I went straight into autumn very early, and then decided I'm going to enjoy this winter, knowing that I'm going to pick this up. This learning is going to start in winter. So it was very much like, yeah, I'm going to cozy up. Yes, I am going to put up all the tree lights and have all the candles going and go, complete hoogie or hyggy, whatever it is style. And I think part of me doesn't want to get out of that phase, to be honest with you. Saying that, I went for a lovely walk today and the sun was lovely and warm. And it's like, yeah, okay, spring's coming. It's time to get out the cave. Let's do that. And Deanne wants to meet up with you, Sarah. Yeah. You're very welcome. Different views. Yeah, absolutely, Ange. I'm all for reading different authors. It's there's in the UK, there's a lot of people have written stuff, but there's 2 or 3, I would say, very strong, prolific writers, and they write wonderfully. Excuse me, and have an incredible amount of knowledge. But sometimes you have to obviously try and get a bigger picture of it all. So getting somebody who isn't too far away from perhaps where you live, getting different perspectives in is good. It's good to get out. Yeah. And like he says, I'm learning about the wheel of the year. I feel more in sync with the world around me. Absolutely. That's how I am as well. So it's the wheel of the year is incredible. And it's interesting. It feeds into it feeds into what I'm doing. Druidry. I've been studying the wheel of the year for many years now, realizing the benefits of it. And then it feeds into the shamanist. Can't talk. The shaman stuff that I've been doing with the drumming with a different group that I belong to, and then it feeds into something else, and it feeds into Wicca studies. It's amazing. Once you get the wheel of the year, you're literally it's spinning the energy off into all sorts, and yeah, it's a really great place to start. So fantastic. Right, so that is so nice to catch up with people. I'm just going to have a quick swig of tea. Right. So let's talk about what I'm doing at the moment. So there's the online course. There's the books. Now, what's come out of a lot of things is it's nice to focus a study on a particular topic and then expand it. And that's what I've realized I needed to do. So I've taken perhaps bits from the book, bits from the study, and then gone out to find more about it. So as an example, this last week I've been off work. Fortunately, I've had a lovely week of just quietness, of getting on doing stuff. And I really wanted to understand the story, the legends of Ceridwen and the birth of Taliesin, which is quite a famous myth, legend, story, whatever you want to call it. And it's fundamental, obviously, as Taliesin is the bard of Druidry, is obviously an incredible story to have to get to know and understand. And what that's done, right, I'm going to just look at Ceridwen and the legend, the story behind it all. And I went onto YouTube and I found 4 or 5 different bards, storytellers, telling their version of the story of Ceridwen and the Cauldron and Taliesin, Guillaume Bach and all that one. I'm not going to tell the story here now, but I have to save that for another day. And I just found it fascinating that people could draw all these different bits out of it. And then as I was kind of working and reading about it all, this idea of Ceridwen started just forming in my head, so that when I was looking through the Avalon Oracle, was it Mr. Avalon Oracle? I kept pulling that card. It was like messages coming through. It's so exciting. And as I started to do this, other bits started to fall into place. And I just thought, this is exciting. This is just, it's almost like sort of going back like a child and hearing stories, famous stories for the first time. And it really inspired me to get out, and not necessarily to do stuff about the legend of Ceridwen and the story behind it all, but then to go out and start creating stuff. And I've been the most creative I have been this week since, I don't know when. I've made things, I've followed Candy's idea of doing books and gessoing the pages and starting to write and do scrapbooks. I started journaling. I've got a pendulum that I'm finally trying. Everything seems to be coming together this week, and I think it's a lot to do with this taking on an idea, working with it, meditating, and seeing how far you can work with this. And you can probably tell in my voice that it's still something that I find incredibly interesting and exciting. So that's one thing, that the big thing that's been happening. So I've been looking at Druidry, the legend, also the Arwen, where it comes from, and basically how to Arwen chant. That's one thing that's, as an ex-smoker, perhaps I need to get the lung capacity up for that one there. The other marvellous thing that I'm so lucky that I have is back at Imbolc, where are we, 2 weeks ago, I went to a ritual ceremony. Let's call it a ceremony. I prefer that word. That's how it's described. Run by the local Druid group and Delid Agorsid. And it's run by Dave and Kerry. And we meet about the weekend of the Sabbath at the foot of the South Downs, which are the hills just outside where I live, just at the foot of the image of the Long Man of Wilmington, the chalk figure, the chalk giant, who's on the logo there. There we go. He's also the 2 of Wands on the Druid card. I've even got, there's a Long Man brewery. Let's see if we can get, I don't know if that's too much light reflecting it, but you know, the one with the 2 poles. There we go. Cheers. That's juice, by the way. It's not a very large glass of pink wine. Yeah, so he's on the hill, so I'm going to show you some pictures later of them. And we meet up and we hold a ceremony, and we do all the bits that the Druid ritual would, I suppose, call for. And that's been fascinating because I've been reading about it and looking into it and doing it. And then I'm actually given the opportunity to be part of it. In fact, there was a man there and with a photographer who's writing a book about Druidry in the UK. And he was coming along and taking part in it all, which was brilliant. And then, you know, he's wanting to interview people, wanted to interview me about how I'm sort of getting into it. So, yeah, and then we had it was a, I'm going to use the word competition in a week. It was the Bardic competition to crown, if you like, the Bard for the year. And so there was went on for about an hour of people just doing their stories, reading their poetry, singing their songs in this competition. And it was absolutely wonderful. The weather was cold. It was howling, a blowing wind that was freezing. People were having to shout over the wind. But it was just amazing to be outside in a circle of friends, listening to these stories, these poems. Some of them were based on legends, some of them were made up. And I'm just so lucky to have that literally on my doorstep on a regular basis. And that just ties in so well with everything that I've been studying. So that's some of the main things that I've been looking at and working with. And I think you could probably tell in my voice that it's something that's making me very, very happy at the moment. I'm just going to catch up with people. You still got the stuff, Sandra. You bought the books, didn't you? You got the online books. So yeah, you still got them. So that's great. Yeah. Oh, Druidry is something I'd love to look into more. That was the thing. That phrase was the one that got me. I think I'd like to, you know, and then one evening, a bit bored, doing a bit of Googling. Oh, what's this? What's this? And then before you know it, it's a wonderful, I'm not going to say rabbit hole. I like to think of it as an annex to the house. You step into a new wing of it. So, yeah. Anne says, I went to an OBOD Bardic Gorsid last July, but fell off studying afterwards. It wasn't the right time. Again, it's when the time's right, and I really hope you get a chance to get back on there. But I hope that you had a nice time when you were there. Yeah, it's a date. There you go. Those two are getting it sorted. They're going to meet up there. Perfect. Oh no, I've just done that's why I'm looking so relaxed and nice, Simon. I'll go back on Monday, but I hope you have a wonderful week off. You deserve it. The seasons happen whether you like them or not. The older I get, the more I not only surrender but lean into them. Absolutely. Perfect way of putting it. And in bulk this year has been the first time I have really thought about the time on the wheel of the year. Me too. It was also the time when I finished my Wildwood study, because I did that for the year in the Wildwood. That's again why I didn't start doing the Druidry thing. I can't keep doing all these different studying things, and I knew that I was going to finish the year in the Wildwood, and therefore I'd have a bit more time to pick this one up. So yeah, I try to find something to love in each season, even the ones I don't like. Yeah, great mantra. I love it. Summer is the only time of the year that I have trouble connecting with. That's interesting, isn't it? A lot of people, yearn for the summer and the sunlight. But I'm a bit the same, actually, Tricia, in many ways. Is that it felt like I spent all year waiting for the summer to happen. And particularly in the UK, that can be a very long wait, and sometimes quite a foolish way, because it never actually happens, or it happens over a very short period of time. But I just felt like I was whizzing through my life, going from summer to summer and kind of just holding my breath at the rest of the time. So, but it's interesting. Is it because we've got more daylight and therefore we try and fill it with more stuff? And I know my energy levels change during the year, and that's, I think, don't get me started, but I think that's part and parcel of suffering from SAD like I did, is that I was trying to cram the same amount of stuff with the same amount of energy into summer as I was in winter, when the body, the biorhythms and everything was just going, no, back off. You can't do all of this. Stop living your life like it's just one of 365 days that you'll do the similar amount of things. There are times when you're quieter, grounded, sleepier, and there's times when you've got more energy, you can fit more into the day, you can be busier, and your body is actually more prepared for it. Yeah, but I have trouble in the summer quite often because I just have this kind of idea in my head that summer's just like walking through nice fields of poppies and hay and stuff, and having barbecues and sitting under the trees reading. It's never like that. It's never like that. So perhaps I just have to have a reality check, a bit like like all these memes and pictures of Christmas, ideal Christmases and log cabins full of snow. Well, that doesn't happen in the UK. So perhaps I need to get in my head that summer isn't going to be picnics in hayfields. I hope that makes a bit of sense. Gone completely off topic there. It's winter, is it? Yeah. And Taliesin is actually one of your patrons. That's interesting. Fascinating. I'd have to know a bit more about that, Sarah. I'll have to have a catch up. Maruta says, I wonder if you'd like these cards, the Celtic Shamans pack guide. Did you send me the link to that one? Someone, I think, sent me the link to that one. I remember having a look at it. I'm going to show you the deck that I've been using, actually. And I'll talk about it in a second. I've accepted that most of the deities I connect to are warriors, knights, and scholars. And all of them. Brilliant. Candy has got some great ideas. And Anne says, it sounds like you have definitely found your bless you. Thank you. Anne says, I love Dave, the music, and Kerry's YouTube channel. They are the loveliest people. I'm so blessed, as I said, to have both of them, as well as everyone else. Everyone else is so, and I think that was part and parcel of the thing. Stepping into this again, I don't mind walking into crowds of people that I don't know, but there is something. It takes a few times for me just to go break the ice, and it's taken me 3 or 4 of these meetings to start talking to people. It's not that people are standoffish, it's not that people are being rude, it's just, I don't know, everyone's been very British about the whole thing and sort of don't talk to people unless they've been introduced. You kind of have to push yourself into it. But yeah, there's some lovely, everyone's lovely, I'm sure, but there's some love. But Dave and Kerry have made me feel very, very welcome. And Dave's music is absolutely beautiful. I've been listening to it all day, because silly side here, is Lent. So I would like to give up something for Lent, and I'm damned if I'm going to give up chocolate. And I don't drink very much alcohol, so it's pointless giving up something like that one. So I thought I'm going to give up listening to my favourite band, which is Steel Eye Span. So I've got 5 weeks of not listening to Maddie Pryor, which is fine, and I can just replace it with Dave the Bard and Blackmore's Night and other groups I like. So that's, there we go. Oh, thank you, Deanne. Happy to have any nerdy Patreon chat over dear anytime. Perfect, lovely. Care says I live in South Carolina. The summers are hot and humid. Falls and spring are my favourites. Yeah, that's another. Let me have a drink of tea in 1 second. I've got cold now. That's the other thing, is that summer times and winter, the weather's so unpredictable. At least in autumn, you kind of know in spring what you're going to get, I think. And summer can either be just wet and miserable or scorching hot. And there's about 2 or 3 days in the whole of the summer, which is actually about perfect. So there we go. But I absolutely hear you on that one there. Marita says, as I'm temperature sensitive, I prefer the equinoxes. Yeah, I agree. For the summer and spring vibes, I would highly recommend listening to Spiral Dance. I do, yes. Emerald Rider hasn't come across. I love a bit of Spiral Dance, yeah. Oh, yes, love Blackmore's Night. I've even got Peter into Blackmore's Night. Now, that takes something, so I'm quite proud of that one there. Shadow of the Moon, absolutely, is my favourite. And here's our Chris. Hello, Chris. Happy weekend to you. Hope you are very well. Good to see you here. Yeah, it's a beautiful one. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to have to go and listen to it now. Yeah, so other things that I've been doing, let's get back to talking about this. Meditations. I've got better at meditating. Well, I've got better at meditating. I'm better at closing my mind down to what I'm doing now. And for somebody, particularly with a teacher's brain that's constantly flicking and butterflying around the whole time, that was quite a tricky thing to do. And I have to say, since I've been working, I've noticed in the last few weeks, my ability to do some of the exercises, to do some of the guided meditations that are online, it's really helped and really feel like I'm doing something. And then yesterday, because I suppose we're talking about what this has brought me, because that's important, isn't it? You're putting all this in, you've got to sort of recognise and celebrate changes and benefits that come out of it. It's allowed me to focus back on myself. I realised that I always used to be at the not beck and call of everyone, but that I would always be, I've got to send someone a message. Oh, I've got to speak to someone. I've got to do this, got to do that. I never actually sat down, apart from like 10 minutes before I fell asleep at night, to actually spend time checking in with myself. And we're thinking, okay, so what is this course doing? How am I feeling about it? And I have to say, it just brings me at the moment absolute joy. And that's a really wonderful thing to have to say and tell people, is that I'm doing something that really makes me joyful. So much so that I started to do a bit more self-care. Now, this is a silly example, and I don't know if anyone this rings true to anyone. But during the pandemic, I got into wearing clothes that were comfortable, slobbing around. And there's a time for wearing slobbing around clothes, time for comfort. I totally get that. But unfortunately, my slobbing around clothes kind of started to become my main wardrobe, apart from obviously when I wear a shirt and tie to work, it was instantly, let's put those things on, let's just slob about. And then I start just going out wearing stuff that I hadn't really thought about. There was no thought gone into it. There was no, I'm just going to wear this to go to the shops and it's like that. Not necessarily caring about what I look like, but there was that whole element of I'll just, I'll slip into the shadows. It'll just be, Mr. Cellophane. No one will notice me because everybody else is wearing the same. And then last couple of days, particularly yesterday, I thought, do you know what? We went out. Do you know what? I'm gonna put a brush through my beard. I'm gonna put some beard oil on. I'm gonna wear something. I'm gonna wear this ring. I'm gonna wear this pendant. And it was the first time ever I just thought, come on, you've let yourself go, man. Let's get this one sorted. I think it's interesting, just the energy, and just how I just had a very bubbly, wonderful day. Whether it's part and parcel of that, I don't know, but it was really nice just to go, come on, take a look at yourself now. Not you've let yourself go, but there's a time and a place for certain elements, and bits of that have taken over. So I need to rein it back in again. So that was interesting. So yeah, I'm going to try and think about what I wear, or at least, how I present myself. That's going to be one thing that I'm looking forward to. Take a bit more pride, I suppose. The other thing, I suppose, is taking pleasure in stuff that I have in the past known or have got, had forgotten or don't use. And that's been nice, kind of having the time to think, because I've also done some tidying of shelves and getting stuff high level dusted, and done a bit of spring cleaning already. I'm just going, oh, that's nice. I forgot I had this. Let's use that for something. I've got this book here that I'd forgotten about. And it's interesting when I clean in those bookshelves off, just out of view, which, there's books in there that I had when I was a kid. And all of a sudden I was picking up books going, this is interesting. This is exactly what I'm kind of looking at now. There was like graphic novels about Celtic and Viking that I'd forgotten that I bought, decades ago. It was always there. It was always in me somewhere. And it's, just that coming together of things. It's fascinating. It absolutely fascinates me. So no, it wasn't off course at all. Let's see what people are saying. Part of my new self-care, revamping my wardrobe as soon as my money permits. Yeah. Starting old clothes. Exactly. I have to do that. I've got to get through the wardrobe. That's the one thing I do need to do, is have another go through the wardrobe. This time I'm really going to chuck out the stuff that I haven't worn for a year, rather than just hanging on to it. Care Bear says, I find using my singing bowl helps me focus better for meditation. Yes, the resonance and rhythmic movement settle my squirrel brain. Yeah. I tackle all of this. I have done in the past, head on, like, come on, let's get on this, 10 minutes to meditate. And it's like, that's not what it's about. It's not trying to fit everything into the time framework the whole time. So there we go. Rossi, hi Rossi, going back to the office next week after 4 years. It is going to be a major adjustment. I wish you all the very best with that one. And wow. Be kind to yourself, I'm going to say, during that time. It can be quite daunting after that amount of time. So just take some time to be, to not rush stuff. That's what I would recommend. But that's amazing. Good luck. Absolutely. Good luck. Hope all goes well. I feel like such an unsocialized goblin since the past. Yeah, that's the other thing, is not wanting to go out anywhere. I think a lot of people suffer from that one there. So yeah, there we go. Good luck, Rossi. Right, where are we doing for time? And says, I would probably struggle to it. God said, I'm not great with strangers. Yeah. It's, oh, sorry, I've missed out. Let's go back. I've missed out a few people in the chat. I struggled at the course. Said I lack confidence. I don't see many people as I'm at home all the time. I think it's more of a solitary druid. I felt embarrassed. I totally get that. Yeah, it's that whole thing about being out in a group of people, all like-minded people for most of it, and yet still feeling like either you're new to the group, or that you don't know enough stuff, or you want to belong, but you're not quite sure what the rules are, I should say, how the dynamics work. And I think that's a skill that we particularly lost from the pandemic, is being able to walk in or be in a group of people and pick up signs. Perhaps everything feels a bit unusual and a bit weird from it all. So yeah. Sarah says ADHD struggle with meditation is so real sometimes. Yeah. I think it's an art form to do, and again, it has to be. Yeah, you can't just going to say, right, I'm going to do this for now. I'm going to study this, and I'm going to meditate on that. The two have to go together. But many times I've gone, no, this is not the right time to be doing this one. So yeah. But Andrew, I absolutely understand what you're saying here on this one, and that's often something that, yeah, that anxiety that sometimes I almost think just before I go, do I really want to put myself through this? And I don't mean put myself through it, but do I really want to do this? And I have to fight that, and I have to go. Now, what I don't do is I don't hang around at the end, and everyone tends to go to the pub, and I don't yet. And that's my next stage, is to now go and meet everyone socially. Yeah, a lovely bunch of people. But yeah, that's a real thing, isn't it? And perhaps, talking about this is really great. Perhaps that could be a way forward, a way to connect with people and go, how about having a connection? I'm sure, that'd be absolutely wonderful. Everyone's wishing Rossi all the very best. And so I am not used to large groups either. I'm not sure if I could do it. Yeah, it brings on anxiety, doesn't it? It really does. It's that question, isn't it? Am I going to the things when you're going to enjoy it once you've stepped over that anxiety threshold. The problem is the times when you go, no, I can't do this. Sometimes we can just let that happen and happen and happen, isn't it? And getting out of our comfort zone is so difficult sometimes. It doesn't kick in until concerts, but I feel people are claustrophobia too. Yes, absolutely. Theatre crowds as well. I have to be honest, I'm not keen on going to the cinema anymore at all. But that's for other reasons. All of the earth in my chart loves to be home, but all of the air in my chart loves it once I do get out. Yeah. Fantastic. Lovely way. Like I said, a bit of an introverted. I struggle with interaction. I'm back where we are. Chris says, how weird is it to think that 4 years have passed since the whole thing began? Yeah, it's really odd, isn't it? It's interesting, the knock-on effects. I sometimes find myself things that I never used to stress about, like going to the theatre, like being in a crowd of people. It doesn't stress me anymore, but it takes my courage to get up and get there in the first place. It is weird, yeah, so true. I'll tell you something that's very strange. I was watching a documentary last night from 2016, and it was Joanna Lumley visiting Japan, and she does a tour of all the islands of Japan. And I think she was about to get on the bullet train or something like that. She was meeting up in somewhere in Tokyo. And she was saying that everyone was wearing masks. And she was saying, back in 2016, the Japanese wearing masks, whether that's to protect them from picking up germs or from them passing it on. And I thought at the time that was an interesting fact. Never in my wildest dreams thought that would be a huge part of everyone's lives, and we would be masked up and having to go through the hell of, for me, the hell of wearing face masks. I hated it, but then I was in a problem that I was having to teach, which meant I couldn't wear a face mask, when at the time I felt very not in danger, but very you know what I mean, in a situation I didn't particularly want to put myself in. So the whole face mask thing from 2016 appeared, and I just thought, wow, haven't we all come on? And what have we been through since that happened? Deanne says, really strange. We moved into this house February 2020. So for us, moving here aligns with all the pandemic. Wow. And that's always going to be, I suppose, there, isn't it? Oh. Yeah, so you still had a proper housewarming party. And you summed it up so well. Oh, thank you. I hope it's interesting just rambling. I'm here just to put my point across. So please take from it what you need to, or what you ignore if it's a load of rubbish. The reasons my husband plays bouncer with me in public, he's my sweet protective Rottweiler, and I'm a nervous little Chihuahua. Vulnerable, yeah. I love the episode. Yes, with the Naniki Nico, I had to go and buy one. Yes, yeah. Chris, we basically did that for Ayla's first birthday. Well done, you had your house warming. Right. I think I've done everything I need to say. Yeah, one other thing, and I mentioned this. This is one of my favourite decks. It's always been one of my favourite decks, Druid Animal. Will Worthington, of course, and Philip and Stephanie Cargon, who are, again, local Druids to me. I live in Eastbourne, in East Sussex, and the county town is Lewes, and that's the headquarters of OBOD. And it's, I don't know, 20-minute train journey. So again, it all seems like things falling into place. It really, really does. So, Max are growing up. So I haven't seen a picture of Max for a long time. I know I'm just going to be shocked by how grown up he is. So you can see how well thumbed these are. And do you know what? It never dawned on me till last November that it's actually the Arwen symbol on the back of these cards. I mean, really, come on. It is absolutely beautiful. In fact, I've got two copies of this because one is so dogged. And I've always used these. I've always used these to pull for the energy of the week. So on a Friday or at the weekend, I tend to shuffle and pull a Druid card to see kind of what animal energies I would best serve adopting for the week to have the most successful week. And I've always done that. And I've done that for probably 5 or 6 years every Friday. And it's always really interesting. There aren't that many cards in this deck at all. But I have a massive problem trying to remember what the meanings are behind them. So I thought perhaps what we could do is to pull a card for the collective, see what the energies of the week is going to be like. And it will probably mean I do have to dip into the guidebook. But it's fabulous. I have both the oracles and the druid. Yeah, absolutely. They all work together so well. Does the druid craft work for druid practices? That's interesting, actually, Maruta. I've been thinking about that. The reason I'm a bit hesitant, I think it would. I actually think it would. I have such a long relationship with the druid craft, which has been complicated, let's put it that way. It's fine. We're in a good place at the moment. We're very happy together. I don't look at it and go, oh, that's druidry to me. That's the thing. I think of it as Celtic lifestyle, perhaps, if you want to call it that. It doesn't smack to me, perhaps like this does, of actually particularly druidry. But yes, it is certainly a deck that I use on a very regular basis. But perhaps I've not overused it, but because I'm so familiar with it, I don't see it as necessarily druid, more Celtic. In fact, I did a video on this, if you remember, a few months ago about my Celtic decks. I don't think. Oh, I'll have a look. Right, they're very glossy, but I'll tell you what, I'll pull a card and then we can, and then I'll show you some of them there. Sarah says I've got the plant, druid and the plant. I have got the plant oracle. I haven't used it yet, but again, I'm planning to use this in with the reading of it all. And you use them with druid craft. They would fit together so beautifully. I have both oracles and the druid craft tarot. I have these decks too. Love Will Worthington's art, yes. And of course, there's the new Wildwood Oracle that's on an Arthurian theme. Shoot me if I'm wrong, but I think that's Will Worthington as well. And that's coming out very, very soon. I'm wearing dark blue with dark blue cards. If I drop them, there's not a chance I'm going to find these. Okay, let's put a card for the collective. What's the energy of that? Ah, okay. We have the bear. Now, the bear. Now, what I can remember about this card, very interesting in terms of this, because it is the card, if you like, of Yule. It's now let me Alban Arta. The Druid name for bear is Arta, as in Arthur, and I know that it is to do with coming out of hibernation and being particularly protective. If you look at the symbols that's going on, you can see he's standing on a sword and he's also got a crown in there. So I know that it ties in again with the legend of Arthur, which of course leads into the legend of Taliesin. So I will read quickly from the book because that's all I can vaguely remember. Booklet, ever so nice. It's in blue this time, which is more sensible than the Druid Craft or the Wildwood, which are in fonts that, quite frankly, are very difficult to read. Primal power, sovereignty, intuition married with instinct. So here we go. Sorry, I'm going to read out the book for you. Art connects you with the very deepest of your ancestral roots. Here, at this level, you're in touch with the primal mother, the bear goddess, who will defend you fiercely from all danger. You're connected to the bear god Artaeus and the mighty warrior Arthur, the guiding pole star of the great bear. And again, that's in the Wildwood, I believe. You can find your way to come to fix your power by marrying your strength with your intuition. Integrating your primal power with your intuition means uniting your star power with your actual power, and both are symbolized by Arta the bear. Sorry, I pronounced it wrong. Arsht, I think it's pronounced. So there we go. But again, just I've used these for 4 or 5 years, like I said, and it's taken me that amount of time just to get some snippets out of them. And I have to say, out of all these cards, I've never pulled all of them. I know that there are some cards I've never had frog. But I'll show you, Chris. You said you've never seen them before. They're big. So if you know, I mean, they're bigger than Druid Craft. But the artwork is fabulous. And again, it ties in really nicely with the Celidwen Taliesin story. And I'm just looking at the salmon here and the story, obviously the chase, the Celidwen turning into different animals on the way, turning into the salmon. Adders, we have snakes. They're very nice cards just to pull in and do a bit of path working with as well. That's interesting. The Latvian nation hero is bear related too. That's right, because the winter solstice, the druid Alban Arta. My memory serves. Oh, yeah. We have 4 dragons as well in this deck. So we have an air dragon. We have a fire dragon. I wasn't paying attention. I might have been holding those cards up. Oh, it's bigger than the tarot. Sorry, I'd say it's bigger. I'll show you. Oh, here's your bog standard tarot card size. Huge, huge, huge. Love the raven. I seem to be followed around by lots of corvids recently as well. Gorgeous otter. Crane. Now, Crane is my personal pick, and I've pulled this for the last 2 weeks. So I pulled this one again today for me. So I had this last week, and this one's that whole stealth, that whole patience, a bit like a heron. And there's always some really surprising animals. We've got things like goosey, or goose, really. But again, it's all to do with that tradition, the ancestors. Yeah, I love the large cards as well. But they're also the same size as the other Oracle cards. So there's the tree ones as well, which is called, and they've changed the name of it, and it's over there, and I can't remember. But the backgrounds are fantastic. The next one is oh my word! Again, this card brings me so much joy, and I've noticed every morning now when I've been getting up, actually last week, since the start of Imog, there's a blackbird that sits in the tree outside while it's still dark, singing its heart out. And the song of a blackbird is just beautiful. So that's one of my favourite cards. Nearly done. So, there we go. And there's our last card, the bear that we had. So, let's have a catch. Okay, so I'm going to finish up the last bit. I'd like to have done an hour and 10. Now, this next bit, I don't know whether I want to do it or not, if I'm brutally honest. Let me finish my tea first. I'm just going to read this. I'm trying to put off the inevitable. Care Bear says, I love geese and herons. We have a giant pond behind our house. I'm friends with the Canada goose that broke his wing. He likes it because he can't fly. Oh, and you look after him. Fabulous. There's been a lot of toads out. It's been toad season here. So please drive very carefully. My friend Pip, some of you met Pip. She goes out, been out the last few nights with a bucket, collecting toads off the road that aren't making it across the road very quickly to the pond. So she goes and rescues them. Maruta says he was raised by a mother bear that grew ear. He was raised by mother bear and grew bear ears. As an old dog, he protected his mum bear from attacking him out, ripping it in half. He's so-called bear ripper. Oh. I know. That's sweet. Yeah, she's amazing like that. That's yeah. Well, unfortunately, we tend to build very busy roads right over the ancestral pathways of most animals in the country, and then act very surprised when they all get squashed on the roads. And so, obviously, this time of year, it's the new moon, the full moon, whatever it was, that triggers them to go and start spawning. And of course, there's a massive migration in the whole area. And toads, my friend Pip was telling me the other day, and I saw her, they are just very slow. They don't hop. I mean, they're massive. You ever seen a toad? It's much bigger than a frog. And they just lumber across and just often just stop and stare at things. So they aren't going to get out the way of the car. And she said the other day she was driving past a road and it looked like a massacre had happened on there. So she does like to go and help out, and I admire her so much for it. Our blue heron visits every time it rains. Oh, wonderful. Oh. Calla is here. Hello, Calla. Good to see you. Right. So the time has come to wrap this one up. So I thought I would do something to take me completely out of my comfort zone. So here we go. We've all talked about what a bard is about. We've all talked about, poetry, art, writing, and stuff like that. And so I thought, well, how do I end this? How do I end this live? And I thought, well, you're going to have to do something bardic, aren't you? You just have to put something into practice. And so this is where it gets really bad and quite cringy. So I do apologize if this is at all cringy, and by all means, feel free to leave now. But I thought, how would you end a meeting? You would end up by sharing a poem or story. So what I thought I would do, and like I said, this is taking all my courage to do this now to the 21 people who are going to watch this live, plus anyone that's going to watch this on catch up. I'm going to read to you a poem that I've written. Okay. And then I'm going to say goodbye. And this is the first time I've done this. As I said, it makes me feel very uncomfortable. But training to be a bard, you've got to be prepared to take the feedback, do the work, stand up. So here we go. So I've written a poem. Go for it. Okay. I've written a poem and it's about the local area. And I've called it Sussex Whispers. I live in the county of East Sussex. There is a West Sussex, but it's right on the south coast. We have these wonderful hills, rolling soft hills that are called South Downs Way. Okay. So I thought what I would do is I would put up some pictures that I've taken around where we had our meeting last year, the Andera de Gorsid at the foot of the Long Man. And I would read a poem to you. Okay? You don't want to see me reading a bit of paper. So here we go. Let's put this up. So this poem's called Sussex Whispers. Beneath the blue sky, vast and wide, where South Downs roll an emerald tide, a tapestry of nature's hand unfurls across this Sussex land. Sunlight dances on the crest, kissing fields where larks find rest, whispering secrets to the breeze through ancient oaks and rustling trees. Here whispers dance on ages past, of ancient gods, their shadows cast on barrows round and standing stones, echoes of forgotten thrones. The Long Man stands a silent form, etched on the hill in winter's storm, a giant carved by unknown hand, guardian of this timeless land. Is he a warrior strong and tall, or celestial guide for one and all? His purpose lost in mist of time, a legend etched in chalky rhyme. The sun dips low, paints skies aflame, as shadows lengthen, whispers name of Epona, goddess, swift and fair, riding through fields with wind-blown hair. And Belenus, god of fire so bright, warming the days with golden light. Their spirits linger in the air, woven in Sussex heart and prayer. So let us walk these ancient ways and feel the magic of the days, where pagan gods and nature meet, in Sussex's heart, forever sweet. Thank you for allowing me to do that one. Oh, Simon, thank you, because I know you're not a particular fan of poetry, so thank you for that one. I appreciate that one. Yeah, I quite like that. I quite feel proud to share that with you, and like something that I'm going to be doing more and more at my meetings, and perhaps more stuff online. That's all part of the process of it. So, yeah, there we go. So, I don't know what to say now. Lots of people saying wonderful. So thank you very much. I really appreciate comments, feedback for that. I hope you've really enjoyed this hour and 20 minutes. We're back to normal next few lives. I've got lots of exciting things coming up. I've got what's happening. We've got Long Stash coming up. I've got Hershey coming on the channel. I've got Ali, Heart and Soul Connected, coming on the channel very soon. I've got an interview with Chris about his new deck, the Hecatean Oracle with Ken, which is being published as we speak. So there is lots more coming up. I hope you've enjoyed this kind of bardic journey, this chat. I really have. It's been lovely talking and sharing ideas with you guys. You've been really super and supportive. Like I said, I'm not going to plan to do this every month. It's going to just pop up every few months, whenever I've got something I want to share and want to talk about. So, but I really appreciate you coming along and sponsoring this. So Long stash. So thank you, everyone. Do have a wonderful weekend. And now you get a chance, those of you that were late in, to now have a look at the new rebrand for this part of the channel, which Peter, my husband, put together very, very well in very short amount of time. So I'm going to play out again with the closing, the opening closing of it all. So do enjoy that one there. And I'll see you again really, really soon for Longman Tarot. Bye then.